Hello everyone and welcome to a slice of my life. I just happened to be trawling the internet for third-party scales for my Civivi Vision FG, and then I saw this, a linerless or liner delete style set of aluminum scales for the Vision FG, and I could not resist the temptation to try it out. Now that the scales are in my hands, I decided to take a video to see not only just how light the final result will be, but also how well it fits on a Vision FG. These scales are made by Practical 3DP on Etsy. A link will be in the description if you're interested. The workmanship and quality of the scales look very well done. I chose the seigaiha pattern scales and went with a tumbled finish. It looks like there's a significant amount of hollowing or skeletonizing done as well. My set of scales came with a pair of washers, and I believe that this is to compensate for the different blade steel versions of the Vision FG. Make sure you choose the correct blade steel option of your Vision FG because the liners and blades of each steel variant differ slightly at the bearing track area. Now, as a quick showcase as well as for comparison purposes, here are the different Vision FGs I own. The first one is the S35VN steel version that is fitted with aluminum scales. These scales are also from Practical 3DP. The next one is a Nitro V steel version that is fitted with frosted acrylic scales. And yes, these scales are also from Practical 3DP. Next is my own take on a quote-unquote blackout Vision FG, where I did a scale swap of the black Nitro V blade with the carbon fiber scales from the S35VN version. And finally, the only stock version which has a polished Nitro V blade with Ultim scales. Now let's weigh everything. And yes guys, after so many years of running my channel, I have finally invested in a small digital weighing scale. First, just so we know, the liner delete scales weigh in at 26.7 grams or 0.942 ounces. Please take note that I did not include the weight of the washers, so that's my bad, but in all honesty, it's a negligible amount. Alright, so the S35VN Vision with aluminum scales weigh 125.8 grams or 4.437 ounces. The Nitro V Vision with frosted acrylic scales weigh 115.6 grams or 4.078 ounces. The blackout one with carbon fiber scales weigh 118.6 grams or 4.183 ounces. And lastly, the Ultim version weighs 117 grams or 4.127 ounces. So as far as we can tell, the combo of frosted acrylic scales and Nitro V blade steel is the lightest of the lot. That said though, in terms of stock scales, the Ultim version weighs just a mere 1.4 grams more. And here is when I do the scale swap. This silicone work mat is a gift from a buddy and comes in really handy, so thank you, you know who you are. Here is a side-by-side comparison, and it looks like the slots for the various pins are all done well with the correct width and spacing. And at this point, I'm just eyeballing the thickness of the original configuration of steel liners and scales compared to the new liner delete scales, and they look to be of the same thickness. I don't have a set of calipers, so I can't measure this precisely, but I believe they are the same. Here I'd like to point out that the show side scale also has the raised notch at the pivot pin slot. One last check before screwing everything together. The fit and finish seems to be very good. Now that the knife is reassembled, I'm doing a quick test of the engagement of the Superlock lock bar, and it's working perfectly smooth. As for the action, well, I think you can tell from the video. There is no blade play and definitely no lock rock thanks to the Superlock locking mechanism. My immediate impression is that it definitely is way lighter, so light that it actually feels kinda strange, and full honesty, I really don't like the way the Vision sounds now. It's a trade-off for sure, seeing how the scales are made of aluminum and how much they have been hollowed out. For real though, I'm thinking that I could use some keyboard modding tricks to change the sound profile, but that will just result in adding back more weight, so maybe not, I don't know. Other than that, the fit and finish is really good. No misalignments, no strange gaps, and yeah, as you saw earlier, the action of all moving parts has not been compromised. So, final weigh-in. Just to recap, the Ultim version weighs 117 grams, 4.127 ounces. And the moment of truth, The Vision FG with the practical 3DP liner delete scales weigh 73.5 grams or 2.593 ounces, which is a huge 37% reduction in weight compared to the Ultim version. So what do I think? A big part of the reason why I purchased these scales is because I really liked the milled seigaiha pattern, as well as the intrigue I had behind the idea of a liner delete scale for the Vision FG. This isn't the first time I've come across liner delete type scales, but I'm just surprised to find one for the Vision FG. Perhaps I haven't been paying much attention online, but I didn't see any buzz behind this, unlike liner delete scales for, say, the Spyderco Para 3. By the way, stay tuned for a video about that. The downside is that this now feels absurdly light, almost like a toy. It'll have to take some getting used to. Okay, honestly, that's not really a downside. The real downside to me is that now it just sounds kinda strange, but that is a trade-off that is to be expected. The workmanship of this is top tier as expected of practical 3DP, the fitment is awesome, and the action remains unchanged. If you're looking to reduce the weight of the Vision FG, I highly recommend this to you. And if you're not a fan of the seigaiha pattern, there are other patterns available, including plain versions, and personally I wish the seigaiha pattern version had the speed holes option, but hey, that's just being greedy on my part. And lastly, the scales are priced at about 125 Singapore dollars or 93 US dollars, and for scales of this quality, in my opinion, they are at a very reasonable price point. And that is it everyone, thank you so much for sharing in this slice of my life. I hope you found this video informative, and if you enjoyed watching it, please clicky the likey. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. It would really help the channel out a lot, and I hope to be able to hit 10k subs by the end of the year. Once again, these are the linerless or liner delete aluminum scales for the Civivi Snex Vision FG made by Practical 3DP, and I will catch all of you in my next slice. Bye!